Wow, I just realized I was on mute, guys. Awesome. So I'm just going to start again. So, hey, everyone. It's Akil Bodo over here, COO at Zaio, your host for the monthly town halls. So, we are actually now on town hall number 6. Okay. And today's town hall, we have something super, super excited planned. We have a special guest with us, and it's going to be something that's super helpful for you, especially if you are starting out your career, if you're trying to like demystify what exactly it takes to succeed in industry, right? Today's theme is all about leading from where you are. So building better teams and growing yourselves, right? So, look, last month was an interview with Simpiwe Radebe, last month's town hall, and the theme was actually centered around Youth Month, right? Um, and the key takeaway from that session was you just got to own your identity and really put yourself out there to succeed, right? You got to own who you are, dealing with imposter syndrome and all of that. So today we're going to take it a notch higher, right? We're going to learn about critical skills that are required in an industry that are not talked about much, right? We're talking about the soft skill side of things, right? So we will be talking about how you can actually lead from where you are, right? And to actually bring that to us, we have a very, very special guest, Nivan Moodley from Yoyo, and that's going to be a super, super exciting segment. So definitely stay tuned for that, guys. It's going to be extremely fruitful, and we will also be having a Q&A session after that, right? So while you're going through that session, definitely take down whatever questions you have, uh, like for Nivan to avail himself and to actually answer those questions will be incredibly useful for you. This is like peak experience for you guys, over here, and I think it'll be incredibly, incredibly helpful, right? So before I like jump into the introduction for Nivan, I think I want to just hand over to Asif, who's basically going to walk us through some interesting updates. And Yeah, over to you, Asif. Awesome.
All right, cool. How's it, everyone? Thank you so much for tuning in. All right, cool. So this is a really interesting time for us, right? Because we're looking into something quite something that we haven't done before, and we want to introduce it to our students. And what we're working on at Zayo is basically a added module called a personal branding module, right? And that basically, it's not about, not the influencer kind of stuff, but may have something that will, talk about yourself, honest content about you and your journey when it comes to learning a new skill, especially when it comes to coding. And it helps, it's just to help build trust with people online. And it helps you get noticed by people. It helps you grow your network. And obviously what's going to happen is that will then open a lot more opportunities, right? So we want to create a practical hands-on course, right, that will be added to the current coding boot camps at Zayo, whether it's full stack, data science, cybersecurity, right? It's a course that we will do together as a community, right? Because that's something we are learning as well, like trying to put ourselves out there and creating a personal brand of ourselves, right? So we don't want to create boring slides, kind of boring videos or anything that is um, we want to create real content, raw footage of you learning something new, right? We don't want to use like just slides or just text on a screen, but no, this is me learning something new, and this is basically how I'm doing it. And yeah, you want to create real stories and want to create real growth in yourself, in your social media presence. So that's the course that we're trying to create, right? We're still working on it. I've actually sent out quite a few emails to all of our previous students just for some feedback and understand where you guys are when it comes to presenting yourself online, right? It's a very important soft skill, and soft skill has been one of the most you know is one of the most important things that we've been trying to pay attention to Zayo, apart from just coding skills. So in that course, you're gonna learn things like LinkedIn, how to use LinkedIn, how to present yourself on LinkedIn, how to find recruiters, how to find future teammates. We're gonna learn about TikTok, how to share your projects, what you're learning, your journey, right? We're gonna use Instagram to show your progress, your personality, and then we're gonna use Twitter, right, to build in public, like how real devs do and how real founders do. So if you're ever looking for a co-founder, I think Twitter is actually one of the best places to find them. So this is the idea behind the course, right? And the reason why this thing became very important and like we started paying a lot of attention to it is because with the age of AI, right? People want to hire, they don't want to hire people who can just code or people who are just technically able. So it's more people who they can trust, people they've seen growing, right? And people who are able to adapt to new things and new technologies. So it's like when you're documenting your journey out there, people see that and they know that you've been learning, you've been growing, you've been portraying yourself out there, and it just shows a really good image about you. And keeping jobs aside, it helps with you creating an audience, right? If you ever have to launch a product or a SaaS product, or any kind of tech product, you know that you have your early testers or your early users who trust you and who believe in you, that'll give you a chance to use your product, right? So that's now the really important why we want to actually try and create this course and embed it to all of our boot camps, right? The thing is that we want Zayo grads to be different, and not only guys who are technically sharp, but you are individuals that are impossible to ignore. You are everywhere. You're loud, and everyone knows about you. So when someone's looking to hire a Zayo grad, they know who they're talking about. Oh, I've seen someone studying on Zayo on my TikTok, or my Instagram, or my YouTube, or my LinkedIn. So that is the whole point of this course, right? So to all the students who are currently with us, you should have received an email from me, right? Um, just understanding your thoughts around this and helping us create the perfect course for you guys. Right, cool. uh Off to you, Akil.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Asif. I think putting yourself out there will be so beneficial for you. It's something that we've all been trying actually recently. And I've got to say that one of the benefits of it has definitely been it forces you to be a lot more self-aware. So whatever things that you're doing in your work or whatever like you're documenting, is it actually moving the needle, right? It makes you question that. So it definitely helps you become self-aware. So there's like so many benefits for it. It's like a zero-sum game, right? Like the amount of benefit and the amount of upside you have is significantly higher than what you could lose, which is almost nothing, right? So that's why it's a zero sum game. Having said that, I think without further ado, like I think we should jump into the next segment, right, where we have our featured guest speaker for today. We have Nivan Moodley, right? Just a little bit of an introduction for Nivan. Nivan is basically a former sales professional who turned into a Scrum Master, right? He's super passionate about helping teams thrive, and I just want to check. Okay, yeah, I just wanted to make sure my microphone is is on. Um, and Yeah, so he's really passionate about helping teams thrive and individuals realize their full potential, right? So he's basically gone from being like a test analyst to leading agile teams, right? And his journey basically shows the power of reinvention. There's a lot of emotional intelligence that he developed throughout that whole process, and just everyday leadership, right? Like when you're leading teams, you're kind of forced to hone in on that skill, right? So I think his story is a reminder that you don't have to be the most loudest, or you don't have to be very technical, the most technical person in the room to actually create a significant impact, right? You just need to show up fully and intentionally, right? So I think it's a real pleasure to have Nivan over here. I think Nivan, we can add Nivan to chat here.
Hello,
Hey Nivan,
everyone.
so good
Hey,
to see you.
everybody. It's great to be here. I was laughing because I'm trying to live up to my AI avatar look. So I actually went and had a haircut today. But I see the camera on this laptop is very unforgiving with the graininess. But I'll at least I've got a goal to go for now. But thanks, Akil. That was a really good intro. I wonder if I need to do a talk now. I think I can actually just go. I think you're
Well,
really
firstly, you're
spot
looking
on.
really sharp. So,
Thank you.
yeah, and thank you so much for once again making time for us today. Yeah, now I'm going to hand it over to you to kind of walk us through
Sure.
your journey and like basically enlighten us. Thank you.
Sure. Perfect. Thanks, Akil, and everyone and all the other colleagues from Zaio that are on the call today. And welcome, everyone. Firstly, I want to just invite everyone to the space. Thanks for giving your time. I know we tend to struggle a bit with screen fatigue. So being here is really special for me and for everyone from Zaio. So I just want to invite you into the space. Put your devices down. Just allow yourself to learn and to listen. Don't feel too stressed about taking notes, because I know the session is being recorded, so you can always go back and listen to this again. And yeah, I hope you enjoy these few enlightening moments that I'm hoping will come your way. And let's start off. So, as Akil has mentioned, my name's Nivan. I am currently a Scrum Master / delivery manager through a company called Yoyo Group at a well-known financial institution. So that is my current role. I am currently, as I said, really enjoying what I'm doing. I think I mentioned that to Akil, but really enjoying what I'm doing every day. I always laughed. No, I never thought I would be in this place where you get up every day and just love getting to do what you do. I was always the person who just looked at my job and just saw it as a salary. I think growing up that was the thing. Like, it doesn't matter if you don't love what you do. It's putting food on the table, so you just you can enjoy your life after work. But once you're at work, if it's happy or sad, that doesn't matter. That's how I was brought up. Um, but so I always followed a path that life almost just took me, right? As Akil mentioned, I was in sales for quite a number of years. Thoroughly loved it. uh, I think I loved the ability to sell. And I remember my very first product. I was working at my dad's shop a number of years ago. I think I was seven or eight. And I remember someone coming in for an aerial. This was back in the day, colleagues, when you still had radios with aerials. I don't even have an example, but like one of the, not even with a CD player. This had a cassette deck. If any of you don't know what a cassette is, you can go and look it up or Google it. So this gentleman came in. He had a radio with an aerial. The aerials always used to break because they used to like pull out really long and get really thin at the end. And when you try to put them back down, they'd sometimes bend and then they wouldn't work. So this gentleman came in and he was like, "Oh, I'm looking for an aerial." And my dad was like, "No, you go and help him, go and help him." And there's a small kid. I'm like, "I don't know anything." but I knew that I liked the aerials because you could extend them out, and some of them had little funny colored little gems on the end, and that was like the 1980s version of putting lights on the bottom of your car, I guess would be a good example from Fast and the Furious. So managed to talk this person through and what I thought would be a cool aerial, and he ended up buying. I remember it specifically. It was this ruby red gem on the end of this aerial, and I remember him walking out. I don't think I got the cash for it. I think that still went to the company, to the business. But I just remember feeling like oh my goodness, this is amazing. I made a sale. So from there, I was just in sales. I started working from a very young age in at one of our local spas as a cashier, and just started work really early, trying to balance helping in the house financially, and then just in sales from then until I think around about 2004. Um, a door opened for me at I think I can say the name. I don't think it matters. A door opened for me at Discovery, and after being at a different job before that, where I was in sales, and unfortunately, it was a time when it was, staff weren't treated very well, and certain things could be said without there being any repercussions. We've gone past that in a way by now. And I remember being at Discovery, and I became a tester through that time because, once again, I didn't have a specific purpose in my work. I just took a role that would pay more. My focus was just on money at that time, and was there for a number of years. Thoroughly enjoyed it, and then I moved on into becoming a what do we call it now? I think it's like a test engineer. I think that's the current title for testers. So I became a tester there. Went through a few well-known companies, and finally ended up at DSTV. And I'd been a tester for about 10 years by then. Well, about 7 years by then. So it's like almost a decade worth of experience. And I was introduced to a way of working called Scrum, which I'm sure most of you probably know. It falls underneath the Agile methodology umbrella, and it's just a way of developing software. Whether it's the best or not, that's debatable. But it wasn't that really caught my attention. What caught my attention was the people that were facilitating these sessions, and specifically they were called Scrum Masters. And I remember looking at this role, and up until that stage I was always thinking like, oh man, what could I be doing where I have a bit more a sense of self-worth. I think you eventually reach a stage in your career, if you, for instance, didn't know early on in life, like you wanted to be a doctor or a fireman or a pirate or whatever, you were still kind of trying to find yourself. So you're always asking yourselves those questions. And I think those of you who are fresh in their careers, maybe you're not asking those yet, or maybe you are. And I remember asking myself, like, what am I doing in my life? I mean, geez, like, yes, it's putting food on the table, but surely I want to have a sense of purpose. I want to, inside, I want a job that like hits me here, that like lines here with here, both my mind and my soul. And I remember driving past, I was in youth at the time. And I remember one of our youth leaders just saying, doing a talk about wasted potential. And I remember him giving the example of, and it's a bit dark, so you'll have to just follow me down this rabbit hole. He said, if you look at a graveyard, so it is dark, unfortunately. If you look at a graveyard and there's lots of gravestones, and you've got all these people's names, and underneath those names, besides the wording, is a date, 2 dates, a start date, an end date, and a dash in the middle. And he said, do you want your life to just be a dash? Or do you want it to be a life filled with purpose and impact? And that stood with me. It's still an example I use now in terms of, encouraging people to seek potential and purpose. And because of that, I just started thinking, like, what could I be doing? And I bumped into these colleagues, and they were Scrum Masters. And I was like, oh my goodness, what? You guys get to draw for a living? What nonsense is this? So when I first started, I was very anti-Agile. I was anti-Scrum. I was anti-Scrum Masters because testers need all their documentation and we need everything done. Otherwise, if everything's not done, how am I going to know what to test? And you want me to like do a little bit at a time? I almost used a naughty word there. What nonsense is this? So But after a while, just observing, watching, working, I realized that wow, this is a role that really lines up with my belief system, with what I want to realize as a person, what I want to get out of life. And so I started this journey on becoming a Scrum Master after being a tester for like over a decade at this stage. So that's 10 years worth of experience that I'm putting aside, not throwing away, putting aside because it still helped me. Still helped me. I think any experience you get over time is good experience, whether it be bad or not. Good experience is experience, and you will be able to make better decisions based on that experience. So I took the jump. I self-funded the Scrum Master course at that stage, which was a lot of money for someone who was not getting paid well. And I remember forking out all this cash, but I believed that I was going to get this because it lined up with what I wanted for life, and nothing was going to stop me from getting that role. And I remember telling my manager at the time, "Look, this is what I want to do." And I remember him looking at me and being like, "But you're not a Scrum Master, you're a tester." And I was like, "Yes, I know that, but I can surely grow into the role." And unfortunately, I didn't get much help from him. Um, and But I kept pushing, through tears. I remember telling family, like, I wasted all this money. I could have been using it to pay debt or doing something else more exciting, but I put it on this course, and it was almost like 2 years, I think, before I got my first break. But I still try to at least bring elements of that role into my day-to-day tasks. Even though, yes, I wasn't a Scrum Master, but that wasn't going to stop me from fulfilling that role. So our team didn't have a Scrum Master. So I was like, okay, cool. Well, we're following the Scrum methodology here. We don't have a Scrum Master. I'm going to fulfill that role alongside my normal role. And that's how I actually gained enough experience to get my actual full-time role, was through self-realized experience where I just said, I'm going to do what I need to do. I know what I need to do in terms of what a Scrum Master role is. I'm going to do the very basics and just be able to put that on my CV that I've got a year and a half worth of self-reflecting, self-motivated Scrum Master experience. And I went for interview after interview, and it was, oh my God, it was a well of darkness at that stage. I'm looking back now, plenty of tears, but eventually, I just remember a colleague that I'd been working with at DSTV just calling me and being like, "Hey, dude, are you still interested in becoming a Scrum Master?" I was like, "Yeah. I'm interested." I mean, it's the only thing I've been talking about to everyone. Because I started going to sessions that supported Scrum Master and Agile. So I think if you are interested in a role that you perhaps are fulfilling it, involving yourself in sessions, in communities that are involved in that way of working, is always a positive. So even though I didn't have the role, the community was very accepting. I learned a lot. I went to the different meetups, and I would be telling them like, "Oh man, what is happening? Why am I not getting this role?" And I think I bumped into this colleague at one of those sessions, and he was like, "Oh, I don't, we worked together a couple of years ago. How are you doing?" And he was like, "Oh, I'll put you in contact with someone at a red bank." And I didn't hear anything for like months. And I just thought to myself, "Oh my goodness, this is not happening. I'm going to be a tester. It's fine. It pays the bills. It's fine. I'm not going to I'm not going to even think about it. I'm just going to be at peace that where I am right now is where I'm meant to be." And I just kind of put it out of my mind for a little bit. And I remember getting a call like, "Oh, come in for an interview." The person we have someone who's put your name forward. We know you don't have all the experience yet, but we would like to at least see you. And I went in for a face to face, and yeah, man, after waiting for maybe a month, I got the role. And I know it sounds very like low crescendo, but I just remember like screaming. I was like, "I got the role!" And we were at a farewell for a different colleague, I think it was. And I was so excited. I was like, "Oh, I'm so excited. I'm so sad you're going, but I'm so excited at the same time because I finally got this role." And it's just, it's I get to just love what I do every day because I followed my sense of purpose. And that is just so important. And that's something I need to encourage you is don't let your title become your limit. It's so easy to do that, you know. This is my title. Oh, well, I've been told I can't do something. That doesn't mean you can't influence past. It doesn't mean that, oh, you need to be that person who's like, I must use a very bad example, but someone who's always stepping on someone's toes because you're trying to get this other role. No, you can influence. You can just be influential. Like, oh, perhaps you could message a person on the side and be like, oh, I know I'm not fulfilling this role, but I'd like to message you about something that this role does. Maybe you could think about doing it. So you could always, create that experience through that in order to get your CV uploaded, maybe upgraded, and make yourself a bit more visible. And I think one thing that really helped me during that time is focus thinking and focusing on self-growth, and creating resilience within myself. I think so often we are so distracted. And I know you mentioned that course with branding. So I'm not talking about not being on your phone for your brand's sake. I'm talking about where we're death scrolling and just like on Instagram for hours for no real reason but to try and either distract ourselves or whatever the reason might be. We don't take that time anymore to just sit and think and be with our thoughts. And that's something that I did during that time. And that's how I came to the realization of what my purpose was, which was to help others grow. And it's through that I, found this role. So I encourage you to invest in yourself, whether it be through certifications, whether it be something simple like going out like this on listening to live chats, or going to the community to invest in yourself. Invest in yourself because you are who you are right now, and you can be forever if you allow it. So you can be stuck here. You can be this person forever, or you can realize, hey, if I take some time to think, if I create resilience in myself where, things may not be happening right now, but that doesn't mean it's never going to happen. So you need to have that resilience, because it feels like nowadays we don't have as much resilience as we used to, because everything is so easily available. We can order something online, it'll be there in minutes. We can go to Instagram and look at cool cars. We don't have to go to the dealership anymore. So we don't have that resilience and patience that's needed just to think, be with your thoughts, and allow yourself to grow. Because if you don't have that, it's so easy to allow something like imposter syndrome to sneak in, and not in a good way, because imposter syndrome can be a very good driver. If I had to picture to you that I saw someone who is a better Scrum Master than me, and I said to myself, you know what? He's a better Scrum Master than me. Oh, maybe I don't belong in this job. Maybe I should go somewhere else. Maybe I should try a different role. Or you could position it in a different way and say, that guy's a better Scrum Master than me. I could learn. I could be better. I could do better, in the role I've got. But sometimes you also need to just realize that where you are right now in terms of your journey is a good thing. Enjoy it, whether it's good, whether it's bad. Try to know that this is something you're learning from. And I'm trying to think now. Surround yourself with the right people. When you're on a journey, you're going through difficulties, surround yourself with the right people. Build your wolf pack that you can trust, that that you've got your best interests at heart, that they're not going to be nipping at your heels all the time, creating self-doubt, trying to put the light bulb or the light shining on themselves by making you feel terrible about yourself. Don't allow that imposter syndrome to take over you. Build that strong wolf pack that when you guys are howling, you're howling together, and you're not howling on your own. And just remember, everything you go through is an experience, and it can be a good experience. It can be a bad experience, but all experiences lead to growth. You just have to be able to see that growth through the negativity or through the positivity. And the last thing I'm going to leave you with, I don't know how long I've been talking, but the last thing I'm going to leave you with right now, before we perhaps go to a bit of a Q&A, is just remember to live, remember to continue learning, and remember to continue moving. And that's it from me. Thanks so much for listening. Akil, over to you. And I hope I wasn't on mute because that would be terrible.
No, you
30
weren't
minutes
mute, man,
silence.
and that was and that was absolutely phenomenal, man. Like, thank you so much. I think there's just a lot of questions I personally have for you, right? Just hearing your journey, right? So I know we are already moving into the segment for Q&A, right? So I think, guys, whoever is tuning in right now, or if you've been watching this segment, please drop us any questions, because now we
Mm.
we are in the the Q&A segment, right? So
That was such a terrible way to introduce that thing. You're in the F and Q&A now.
yeah, no, I was about to say frequently asked questions, man. So I was like, frequently asked questions Q&A, and my brain was just like, whoa, hold on, it's Q&A, right? um so yeah, guys, I think while we're waiting for some questions to come in, maybe I can start off, right? Like,
Sure.
firstly, man, mad respect, right? Like, your journey, like, it takes so much courage, to actually, um firstly, like, at a point in your life, the whole world was against you, right? Like, you had
Mm.
like a manager who was like, bro, you're a tester, like, why are you trying to be a scrum master, right? So,
Mm.
obviously, you took a leap of faith. Okay.
Yeah.
I just want to understand, like, what was your motivation, man? Like, how were you so motivated to go through that struggle where the
Mm.
whole world was against you? What was your driving force?
So I think that sense, like I mentioned, that sense of purpose was my big driving force. My faith was a big driving force. And I think the betterment of my family and theirs and our circumstances was a driver. But the biggest one was that sense of purpose. I think if I didn't have that core sense of purpose where, this is why I'm here, this is what I'm meant to do. If I didn't have that, I would have stopped a long time ago because it was like I didn't even go. It was dark, man. I couldn't see the wood from the trees. It was it was terrible. But
Yeah, it's hectic.
um, I
Yeah.
just kept that sense of purpose right at the top of mind. And don't get me wrong, there were times when I was just like, "That's it, I'm done. I am done." But I just, you pick yourself up the next day, you read, you rethink, you refocus, and you just keep pushing. You just keep carrying on with that journey because if you don't have a positive mindset, what do you have? You you're just going to be forever stuck in a negative cycle of thought, and unfortunately, that's not helping anyone, especially not yourself.
Wow. Yeah. In those moments when you were like kind of going through that really tough phase, and you're kind of using your purpose as your North Star indicator, right? It's like, yo, like, I
Mm,
gotta get there. So you're just like shutting the noise out and just kind of going on your journey. Did you ever experience like glimmers, right? Glimmers, I think, is like a word I recently discovered, where
mm,
it's like moments where it feels like the universe is talking to you, and it's like saying that, dude, you're on
mm,
the right path, just keep going, you're
mm,
doing well, right?
mm,
So did you face any of those moments back then that
mm,
made you feel like, okay, this is worth it, right? I think
mm.
I'm getting somewhere.
Mm. I love that question and the way you positioned it. And that speaks to, the sense of having a wolf pack. I had good people around me that
Mm,
I could bounce my negativity off, my positivity, and I knew that they would be honest with me. If someone told me, look, Niv, who I trusted and said to me, the Scrum Master role, I don't think it's really for you. Maybe you should try something else. You know, I would trust that, but I wouldn't just trust that one person. I'd have a group of people I trusted who I
mm,
would bounce my questions off. There's wisdom in a multitude of counselors. So I would go to people that I trusted, not just any Tom, Dick, and Harry, because I do remember specifically. I remember this very difficult situation where I went to I was invited, or I won a ticket to a really awesome coach camp, where you go there as a Scrum Master or anyone that's working in agility, and you can learn. They do courses, or they do sessions over the weekend, and it was such an amazing opportunity. And I remember saying, I really would like to know what a person needs to do to get a Scrum Master role. And I remember someone saying, laughing at me and saying, dude, what do you expect us to do? Get you a job or something? And that was so demotivating. I was just like, bro, How did I just looked at him, but in that moment, I still had my people around me who were like, no, just don't listen to him, dude. He's just negative. Just stick to your guns and keep pushing. And that's why in this day and age, it's so important in a place of where there's so many voices speaking into our lives through social media, through whatever. You need to make sure that you have a core group of people that you know have your best interests at heart. And that is key to being successful in any kind of endeavor where you need support, or wisdom from others.
Wow, I actually strongly resonate with that, man. I think the support system takes you a really, really long way. I think just even in my journey, like with
Mm,
Zayo, for example, right? There've been some times when, like for example, COVID was rough for us, right? Because we
mm,
actually had a different model altogether. We were doing B2B back then, right? And we were training like companies' employees, right?
mm.
um, like we actually developed some really good traction leading up to that. Like we did a
Right.
program with NetBank's Launch Lab. Um, but what we started to see is companies were obviously cutting down costs on training because, like COVID happened and there was just so much uncertainty, right?
Mm,
So I feel like
yeah.
during those low moments, I feel like the team, the people you surround yourself with, your family, your
Mm,
friends, in my case, my co-founders, right? We somehow stuck it through. And I feel like
mm,
we wouldn't have been able to go through that if we didn't have each other's back, right? It's like
mm,
when two guys were down, right? One guy would say that, no guys, come on, like there's something over
mm.
here. Let's just keep trying, right?
Exactly.
So the support system is like, I feel like it's one of the most underrated things to seeing
Mm,
people success. All that people see is like an overnight success, right? But they don't actually see the tough times. They don't actually see the like yeah, just it's rough.
mm,
It's rough. The tough times are rough. So
mm.
yeah, we actually have some questions coming in, right, in
Oh,
the
cool.
comments over here, right? So I'm not sure if we can bring it up on the screen, but or
Sure.
I could just read it out for you, right?
Yeah,
So
go for it.
so this is a question from Brian Cheru, right? So what would you tell your younger self when you just started out in tech?
I tell my younger self not to stress so much and don't be afraid to take opportunities that look really difficult. Yeah. Because I think
Man,
sometimes we want to take the easiest path, which is not always the right one. So
wow.
that's definitely what I tell myself. I would have got to this role a lot quicker if I'd taken a difficult decision earlier. But circumspect. Oh, is that the word? Is that the word? Retrospectively, it's always easy
Retrospectively,
to
yeah.
to look back and
Yeah.
think. But that's something I definitely tell.
Awesome. We got a question from Latoya here. How do you keep trusting that the process you're going through right now is ultimately preparing and leading you to the purpose despite what seems like setbacks? Wow, what a
Mm,
question. Yeah.
that is a really good question. So I think setting yourself goal markers, starting really small, knowing surrounding yourself with the right people, mentors, with the right mentors, and mentoring is something that really helped me. I had two fantastic. Well, I have one fantastic mentor in terms of life, and I have a really good mentor in terms of business. Well, I had back then, um, and I ensured to put very small goals for myself. So regardless what setbacks were coming, I knew I could have small wins over a long period, as opposed to one finish line right at the end, rather a whole bunch of small finish lines, well thought out finish lines that I know are going to get me to where I ultimately want to be. I think far too often, we don't take the time to break down our problems and think, how can yes, I may not be able to be a Scrum Master today, but I'll tell you what, tomorrow I could watch a YouTube video as to what a good Scrum Master is. And that's a
Mhm.
good stepping stone. It sounds silly, but it's a step in the right direction. And I think trusting the process, it's tough, man. It is difficult. I mean, not even in this, in life, trusting the process. I think sometimes you do have to know in yourself that you're on the right journey. If there's so much self-doubt in yourself that I don't think I'm on the right journey, and you've spoken to other people you trust, and they're like, "Yeah, I'm not so sure about this one." maybe you need a bit of a course correction. You should never be afraid to course correct. I think sometimes we want to stick so closely to what we think the perfect future is that we're stuck on a highway in the wrong freaking direction, driving against traffic, instead of like just doing a U-turn and taking a overpass and going onto a different highway.
Wow,
So
yeah.
don't be afraid to change mid path. It's, life carries on, man. You just got to back yourself.
I love that analogy, by the way, about the. That's a good one. I'm going to use that one. um, so we got another one from the Wake. How do you recognize who should be part of your wolf pack?
Hmm.
Yeah.
So it's twofold. The people that you spend time with that make you feel good about who you are as a person, as opposed to who they want you to be. That's one fantastic type of wolf. And the other is the type that'll keep you honest. Where if you're talking utter, oh, geez, I almost use another bad word. If you're talking utter nonsense, they will call you out, and not because they want to make you look like a knob and like a bad person in front of everyone. It's because they care about you. That's another type of wolf that I would suggest make a very good wolf pack.
Wow.
And your
Yeah.
mom, your dad,
On your mom. Yeah,
or
yeah,
your
yeah.
grandparents. Yeah.
Awesome. Cool. So we got another question here from
Mm,
Latoya again. So, what are
mm.
three good character traits of a great mentor, and how do you identify the right mentor from where you're going? Oof, nice question.
So, good question. So, I was mentoring someone before, and when you hear your mentor's life journey, what they represent, who they are as a person, what their character is, you will know inside if that is someone you want to mentor you. Just because someone has a title of mentor doesn't mean they're going to be a good mentor for you. They might not be a good fit, they might be in the wrong field. So I would definitely first know, does this person's journey echo with you? Do you know them? Are they I always suggest mentoring someone of the same sex as you. So if you're a girl, go to a girl. If it's a guy, go to a guy. But that's just personal just to make sure that the slate is always clean and there isn't anything else going on. um and I think people who others talk highly of make good mentors. you know just because someone is really good at their job and they're doing really well, but everyone thinks they're an absolute not nice person, I don't think is going to be a great mentor for you, because you're going to have to deal with that nice person with very personal things.
Mm,
So I think that the great traits are someone whose journey you enjoy, someone who is in the field you're interested in, and someone who echoes with you in here. You will
mm,
know this guy could be a great mentor. You
mm.
know it in here very quickly, whether they echo with your spirit or not. And
Dude,
that
I'd like
is
to
so
add.
important.
Yeah. No, I'd love to add something here. I think something that has
Sure.
worked for me in the past is
Thank you. Yeah.
would I really, like, you see a mentor, it's like, would I want to have the experience he has 5 years from now or 10 years from now?
Mm,
Because normally, well, not normally, but sometimes some mentors are elder than you, right? Like
mm,
they're generally in nature senior, right? Maybe
mm,
experience or age, right? Senior either way. I think
mm,
for me, something that helped me identify if a mentor is good, which touches on your last point, right? Which is like in your heart, you kind of know that this is the guy or girl, right?
mm,
I think it's just that, man, I'd love to be in that position, right? In future where I'm, financially in this position, experience
mm,
wise, I'm doing what he does. It's something that I aspire to be like. I think that's something
mm,
that might be a helpful indicator as well.
Absolutely, Akil. And I think the one other call out I have to make there is, do not look at the superficial
Mm,
surroundings of the person. Like, just because they drive a nice car, they drive nice clothes, don't look at the flex, look at the person inside. That,
mm,
don't get too caught up in what they portray. Try to find out what they are as a person by what they say to others, how they act around others, how they treat others, how they treat you. If you
mm,
have to beg them for time, like, please, won't you just spend like 5 minutes with me?
mm.
Hmm, probably going to be missing out on a number of your mentorship sessions if they don't want to give you an easy 5 minutes. So yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
just a heads up there.
Yeah. Awesome, man. I think we can bring up the next question here. So, how do you keep mistakes and failure along the way from stopping you from pursuing
Mm,
your actual purpose? Yeah,
mm. So I'd love that question. I love that
man.
question. So
So, yeah, stopping some bombers here. Shout out,
yeah,
Mr.
jeez, man. So mistakes and failures shouldn't stop you because they're propelling you forward. Yes, you made a mistake, but it's a learning opportunity. It's like where I said imposter syndrome can be something that can stop you because you're looking at it with the wrong mindset. I
Mm,
think realizing that any journey you're on, there are going to be failures, there are going to be mistakes, but you know that I'm still going to stay positive. I know this may suck a bit, but my goal is not the now. My goal is where I want to be in the future. And if you got that positive future mindset and also knowing that things, you will make mistakes, you will fail. There's no perfect journey. No one, no one, no one, no one. So if you keep those at the top of mind, it makes pursuing your purpose a lot more palatable, not easier, but more palatable, where you can take it. It's like, I can take this because I'm focusing on the future and I know I'll fail and I know I will make mistakes.
amazing. All right, so we got another question here. So, when you're truly stuck at a bug and all just seems so tough and difficult, how do you conjure perseverance? Oh man, dude, this is actually one of the questions I wanted to ask you. So, how do you
Wait, is this a testing related question?
irony, man?
um, so I think perseverance and toughness it's created over time. It's not something that just happens. And that is where having a mentor, having the right people around you that you can speak to, that you can bounce ideas off, that you can bounce even your negative thoughts, where it's like, oh, I feel useless. Man, I should have been better. I hate that I've done this. If
Mm,
you've got the right people around you, they will let you have that pain, but they will steer you in the direction of, dude, you need to pick yourself up now. You've had enough time moping.
yeah.
You need to keep persevering. And that's why it's so important to have real people around you in your wolf pack. Not like chommies who are maybe they like your chommy on Instagram. I'm talking about real people that
Mm,
are really around you on a daily or weekly basis. Make sure you keep those people close. And also building that resilience, you have to be self-motivated. You have to realize that, man, life can be difficult, but you know what? As a person, I'm fucking kicking ass because I wake up every day, I go to work, I earn bucks, and I'm much better off than I was 10 years ago. Like, give yourself props about where you are in your journey right now because life is not easy. And if you focus on the negativity all the time and you don't focus on where I am right now is actually a miracle, it's actually amazing, and you forget where you've come from, it's very easy for a difficult, not even a tough one, a mildly difficult situation to overwhelm you and kick you like 10 steps down the road from where you started.
wow. Yeah, no, that's just spot on, man. I think just on that as well. I think practicing gratitude, like celebrating
Mm,
the small wins, right? I think those are
absolutely.
things that will kind of make it a bit easier to persevere, right?
Mm,
Cool. So we got another
absolutely. I
question.
like that. Nice, Akil.
Yeah. So we got another question here.
Mm.
Sometimes as a student, you don't always have constructive people around you. How do you stand out as a leader and build confidence to actually be seen by hiring managers? Ooh.
That's such an interesting one.
Hmm.
I don't think leaders always have to stand out. I think sometimes leaders are the gentle, the quiet, the focused, those that people can depend on, pe- those that people know they can come to. Those are leaders. Not You don't want to be looking like, oh, I want to be a manager, man. I want to be
Hmm.
that guy who everyone sees. No, leadership is different. Leadership is tough. if you look at, I'm just thinking about it now. It just popped in my head. If you look at Sia Khaleesi as a leader, he's not a from the front leader. He's just not. He's not loud. He's not in the face of the ref all the time. He's gentle. He approaches the ref with respect. But I'll tell you what, he makes a flippant difference in that team, even though he's not like the loudest or standing out. So I think being there for others is a much better leadership quality than being the person who shouts and just stands out, because that can actually be pretty annoying for others. You may think it's amazing, but as traits, it's sometimes not the best thing. So I would definitely encourage you to don't be so worried about standing out in the crowd. Try and help the crowd around you, and people will notice, man. You don't have to be your own vocal coach. Others will see you by your actions as opposed to what you're saying.
Mm. Wow. And I think this it's like a two-part question, right? I think the next part is like how do you
Mm.
build confidence to actually be seen by managers?
So I just want to clarify here. Are you saying confidence as in when you're going for an interview, or what do you actually mean when being seen by a hiring manager? What does that mean? I just want to clarify with that colleague that asked that question.
Um, I'm it'd be love to see a it would be lovely to see a comment from him, but I'm guessing
Mm,
that it's centered more around the interview, right? Like because
mm,
it's in the context of you want to get a job, right? So how do you actually build your confidence to
mm,
catch the eye of the hiring manager? Because I think when, like you said,
mm,
like I think when a hiring manager is looking to hire someone, they do
mm,
look for leadership qualities, right? Leadership doesn't necessarily mean being loud. It means taking
mm,
accountability for your actions,
mm,
being a master at your craft, empowering people around you. I think that's a big one, right?
mm.
So I think it's like
Absolutely.
what do you actually need? Like what are the things that you could do to build
Mm,
your confidence so that when you're in front of a hiring manager,
mm,
they can see that no, this guy is somebody I don't want to miss. I need to hire this person.
mm. Okay, brilliant. So I think the key word there is confidence, and confidence is built with repetition. If I am kicking a soccer ball for the first time, I'm going to be pretty uncomfortable. What's the opposite of confident? I don't know why. I just had a brain fart there. What is the opposite of confident? Anyway, so you're not confident the first time you
Yeah,
kick a
yeah,
soccer
not
ball.
good.
But I'll
Yeah.
tell you what, you kick that soccer ball 20 times, you can be pretty flippant confident. So what I looked at with hiring and when I'm doing interviews, when I'm going for interviews, number one, get a good night's sleep.
Mm.
Number two, enjoy the interview. It sounds so stupid, but whenever people ask me why I interview well, both from both sides of being the interviewer and the interviewee, is because I go in there to enjoy the moment. I go in there positive. I go in there knowing that I may not know everything, but heck, I'm still going to enjoy this time. Even though yes, they gave me the interview, they're still taking up my time as much as that I'm taking theirs, and I made it to this interview. So there must be something they see in me. So make sure you yes, that's how you get confidence. A repetition of interviews. If the first interview, your first interview might suck. My ones did. They really sucked. But after going for, I don't mean sucked like as if from the environment. I mean I just was not interviewing well. But
Mm.
after going for more and more interviews, you just get more confident. You get more confident. That confidence shines through because as a recruiting person and someone who's part of the interview process, there's nothing more disheartening for a recruiter when someone pitches up and is just like deer in the headlights, like, oh my God, I do not know what is happening right now. So I would suggest it's just something I've thought. I would suggest doing practice interviews with family or friends, just so you get rid of that deer in the headlights look, because you can very quickly see a candidate who they come across as they don't know what they're doing, but you look at their CV and you're like, but this person does know what they're doing. Why is there this disconnect between what your CV is saying and who's pitching up in this interview? So just make sure that the confidence you've taken to write your interview is your CV is the confidence you take into that room, because you can very easily get caught out in that way.
Wow, yeah, I think
So,
you've covered like all angles of confidence. So I think we can move on to this question. I think this is our last question.
Mm.
Um, so, how can you encourage young people to say no to instant gratification as a sacrifice to discover your purpose and achieve true fulfillment? Whoa, these are really deep questions from Latoya, man.
Mm.
Amazing. Yeah.
So I would sure. You know, it might just be a generational thing where we just have a different type of person now who lives because no one, especially not our younger generation, none of them are getting away from social media, from the instant gratification of social media, from quick deliveries and all the rest of it. You just have to have a sense that I want to take this time for myself. No one else can teach you that. You either want to grow yourself, you want to spend time with yourself. That sounds stupid, but you want to spend time in your own mind, unpacking who you are, knowing who you are, because those are very important traits to have when you're dealing with the difficulties of work, the difficulties of life. It has to be a self driven, self realized situation where you know, okay, if I don't disconnect from social media or not even, let's not even talk about social media. If I don't take the time to think, I'm just going to be stuck in who I am right now. And I think it's a challenging question that we should ask young people is like, guys, do you take time to just think? Just think. Not like looking at a form or looking at your phone and thinking, but just taking time to not read anything and just think. Maybe it's just something we need to encourage people to do.
I think just adding on to that, I think if you have a very well defined goal, right,
Mm, I love
which
that. Yeah, yeah.
is derived, like the goal is created based on your purpose, right?
Mm,
Um, I think it becomes a lot easier to say no, right?
mm,
Because you kind of know like what you're trying to achieve and what you have to do to achieve those goals, and you kind of have a scope, right? And anything out of that scope is just like, no, like I don't really want to do that. I want to
mm,
achieve a particular goal and I don't want to be distracted. I think that
mm,
might help with saying no.
mm, mm.
Yeah, yeah.
The caveat to that though is your purpose can't be a driver if you don't know what your purpose is. And the only way you get your purpose is if you take that time to think.
100%. Yeah, to like go to that reflection about
Mm,
yourself, spending your
yeah.
time, spending time alone. I think
Mm,
disconnecting, what I like to do is actually go for hikes.
mm,
I go to, like Lion said, sometimes a hike on my own, and I don't carry my phone, right? I don't carry my phone for the hike. I'm just going, and it's just me, myself, my thoughts, right? I do
mm.
carry a notebook and a pen, to kind of just put my thoughts together. I think
I
this is
love that.
something that definitely helped. Every time I've done that, something amazing has come in my life,
Mm,
because I think it's just you define like what you want to achieve, and
mm,
yes, you naturally, like physically, start
mm,
working towards that.
mm.
That's something that is.
Absolutely. Yeah. You
Yeah.
made me think of it's going to sound so silly, but don't take your phone to the toilet. And you will be surprised the amount of ideas that come to you in that moment when you realize, like, oh my God, I actually have to just sit here. So it's something so silly, but try it. It
Yeah.
works.
Yeah.
You have to start small. You can't just jump like some, oh, I'm going to take 3 hours to go and um, think. You have to
Yeah.
start small, small
Yeah.
thought patterns, and then build up
Yeah.
from there.
Micro alone time to think.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I've started doing it. It's weird. It's like you sit there and you're like, what do I normally do when I'm in here? So, yeah, when you don't have your device, it's very funny.
But yeah, I think this has been so much fun, Niv. I think just personally, on a personal level as well, I've really enjoyed this conversation. I think there's just a lot of positive energy that you have, and I think it reflects in your experience, and whatever you have gone through to come up until this stage. So I think it's been such a pleasure hosting you on our
Thanks,
town
Akil.
hall, and like thank you so much for making the time, man.
It's such a pleasure. I mean, for me, these moments are very special. I don't ever take them for granted. So thank you. Thank you to Nathan. Thank you to Asif. Oh my goodness, did I say his name? Yes, Asif,
Yeah,
uh, as well. And everyone who's listening, thanks for your amazing questions. It's really been a pleasure for me to be here, and I really appreciate it. So, yeah, you've got some fantastic colleagues here from Zaio.
Zaio,
Zaio. Yeah,
Zaio, yeah.
Zaio. Is it Zaio? Why have I? Okay, from Zaio. Apologies. I was actually practicing how to say it before I got here because I was like, "Is it Zao? Is it Zay? Is it okay?" So
No,
thank
we,
you so
we
much for
get that a
correcting
lot.
me.
Like I think the most common ones are like Zayo, and then sometimes it's like Zio,
Yeah.
but it's Zayo, right? It's
Okay.
Zayo.
Perfect. So you've got some good people here at Zaio. So reach out, and I'm also on LinkedIn. If there are any questions you'd like to pose to me, you're most welcome. Whenever I have the time, I will respond. But yeah, thank you guys so much. It's been fantastic being here.
Awesome. Cheers, Nivan. All right.
Great stuff. Cheers, everyone.